Yeah, I mean, I think I've dealt with anxiety my whole life in some, aspect or another, but I think when I really had kind of my first serious anxiety, like, episode, I guess, was in my sophomore year of high school, when I had my first panic attack and I had a really intense kind of hypochondria episode where I thought I was dying because I just was having a lot of anxiety, kind of feeling very like removed from myself, feeling very out of it all the time, and I kind of internalized that as there's something wrong with my body and I need to do something about it, and I am gonna die very soon or something. So when I dealt with that, I just didn't know how to process it, and I was just kind of in this constant state of really intense terror and just kind of unable to express myself to anyone else how I was feeling, and also feeling like I'm gonna die really soon. So I just didn't really have any outlet for it, and I couldn't, even though like I would talk to my parents about it. My mom would be like, "You are dealing with anxiety." I didn't believe her. It felt like such a powerfully um it felt like such a powerfully real force. It felt so present and tangible that I couldn't associate that with, some kind of mental health problem. It just felt like it was like, this has to be some kind of physical embodiment of something, whether it's like a brain tumor or MS or some kind of um, physical construction. So I I just spent, about like a year and a half just obsessing over like one, WebMD disease that I could find to another. I thought I had MS for such a long time. At one point, I convinced myself that I had Parkinson's for like 2 weeks because I felt my hands like shaking or something. So it took me a long time to get out of that feeling. And while I was experiencing that, I couldn't really. I never told any of my friends. I never really expressed it to my parents either. I only kind of articulated it within like some kind of professional context, where I was talking to like a therapist, or I was talking to some other, kind of authority figure that I would pay to talk to. And so I felt really, really distanced from all of my friends, and I had a really hard time kind of hanging out with people, being present for other people, and being emotionally involved, because I was so in this space of terror and kind of narcissistic like obsession. But and so yeah, I think that's kind of like what I've dealt with. But for the most part, I feel like I've gotten over that. Eventually, I realized like, oh shit, this is a real thing. This is, like, this mental health problem is actually, not a physical, it is a physical embodiment, but it's not a, I'm not dying. I just need to work on my mental health. And so I think that started me down a path of feeling better to a certain extent. But I think it's, you know, there are effects of, I think, kind of like what I did to myself and what process I put myself through when I was feeling that I am still grappling with. I mean, obviously, it's a process, but, I think there's definitely like, and I think like I have, I got prescribed Lexapro 2 summers ago, and that has been incredibly helpful in just making me feel like I can be emotionally present, like I can focus on something other than myself and kind of constantly criticizing everything. So yeah, that's been really good.